BPM Supreme. I highly recommend it. Now, I am not sponsored by BPM Supreme. I purchased their subscription for the next few months on their Cyber Monday deal, and I've been very happy with it, so I felt like doing a video on it. It is a record pool, so if you're brand spanking new to this stuff, basically it is a efficient way for DJs to get a lot of music. And it's the one that I recommend, especially if you are an open format wedding / corporate event / Christmas party kind of DJ. They kind of have you set. They have a pretty decent back catalog of everything from 60s till now. Surprising amounts of it, because the way record pools tend to work is it's more of a record labels, we're going to give you this for cheap. Get it out to the DJs so that the audiences hear the music and go buy the albums. That's the intended use case for these record pools. So usually it's new music, but there's some oldies on there, and there's a good selection of them on BPM Supreme. So if you are a brand new wedding DJ, you're thinking about getting into this, you've been relying too much on streaming, this is a really good way to fill in your catalog of older music without breaking the bank. I downloaded about 3,000 songs last night. Quite a few of them were country and older music that that would have cost me about $3,000 to go on iTunes. So it can be a very, very cost-effective way to really fill in the gaps in your library. Now, once you have a lot of your library built, yeah, you could probably get by on just going to iTunes, and when like a new hit comes out, you just pick it up for $1 or whatever, right? That's not a bad way to go about it. But there are other advantages, and I've kind of seen the light on some of them. So BPM Supreme offers, and other DJ pools offer this as well, but BPM Supreme offers them in a way that I quite like, and that's who I'm talking about today. Intro / extended versions. Essentially that is, we're going to add a bit more of a loop to the beginning to make it easier to beat match. Extended means they think they add a little to the end as well, but I don't tend to use those too much. I tend to go personally for the radio edit, just for the styles that the way that I tend to DJ. Your mileage may vary, but having it, I'd rather have the option than just not have it. They also have these quick edits. Those I really, really like, especially for situations like mine where I am trying to learn how to do faster mixing. I'm not very good at it yet. I haven't gone through and set all my cue points and all my music so that I can skip around and really blaze through this stuff the way that some of the more experienced DJs out there have. So having these quick edits that basically have done that for me to an extent of, I throw this song on, it's normally 3 minutes, this version's 2, right? And it's pre-done cutting out some of what the dance floor might not necessarily want. If I get a request, I still need that full version, because if I have like, hey, we want this as our first dance, hey, this is a dedication, hey, this is, it's nice to have the full version, but being able to also have a quick version of the song where it is a shorter option, it's really nice to have. On top of that, if you're like me and trying to learn how to quick mix, having good examples of it, right? You can download 2 different versions of a song, one's shorter, one's longer, and you can then listen to them back to back and be like, oh, that's how they skipped around. They skipped that part there. I'm going to take that to heart. And then the next time I am figuring this stuff out for myself as to where to put my cue points, I have that in my head of like, that worked really well on that version of it. Cool. So it is really nice to have those quick edits of these tunes, and you're not paying extra for it. You just click both. Problem solved. They do offer, and one of them is paywalled. I can never remember which one. They do offer curated sets and playlists as well. The playlists are nice because they'll have like country wedding, right? Here are 50 songs that work really well at a wedding if they like country music, like that kind of thing. Here are all of our line dances in one spot. Those are really, really handy, especially if you're brand new. If you do not have a music catalog yet, I would recommend paying for the premium that opens the doors to some of this stuff for the first month so you can take full advantage of it. Now, it is a little wonky. There might be a better way of doing this, but when you download the full playlist as just the playlist, you add it to your crate, and then you download that crate, and then you unzip it. If you just unzip it into your standard music library, it's not in a playlist format. Like, it's not going to show up in your software as a playlist. So it's better, I think, to have it in a separate folder so that you can easily access those songs and create a crate with it or create a folder with it. But your mileage may vary. That's up to you how you feel like organizing your music. But that becomes particularly important, though, when you look at their curated sets. These are a really, really good learning tool, but I don't know if I would ever use them out in the wild. Essentially, they are usually 20 or 30 songs that these all work really, really well together. They're not just the same genre. It's like, no. You could take this and you could play it back to back and it would be a cohesive set. That can be really good for two things. One, practicing like beat matching and stuff like that, because the songs are designed to mix from one to the other, so you know they're going to get along. And two, learning how to put together a set list, right? Rather than just, hey, these are songs that I think the audience will like. It's like, oh, these songs get along together. These songs will play well together. They will beat match nicely together. So that can be really good. So what I almost always recommend is if you are going to go on a record pool, and like I said, I recommend BPM Supreme just because I've had good experience with them. First month is usually heavily discounted, and get the premium so that you have access to those playlists and access to those sets and stuff, and take full advantage of them, and then go back to the regular after that. Once you've noticed that you're not downloading enough music to make it worthwhile being on the record pool, so you're only downloading like 20 or 30 tracks a month, cancel it for a few months, right? You can always come back. That's how I tend to do mine. I hop on a record pool around June. I stay on it until around August. And then this year I picked it up again in November to get ready for my Christmas stuff. Because then during the wedding season, my go-to is they hand me their playlist for their wedding. I check everything against what I have. If I don't have it, I then check it against BPM Supreme, because if I have their first dance song in BPM Supreme, I'm just going to download that instead of going and paying for another copy of it, because I just get it. Click, done, got it, because it's included in the stuff I've already paid for. Why would I pay extra, right? So that's my process, and that's something I think works really well, right? So summing it up again, get in my opinion, the premium for the first month, take advantage of all those set lists and things like that, and then switch to the regular. Once you start getting into either your slow season or you're finding you're just not downloading a lot of music, leave it for a bit and then come back to it. Or try a different record pool for a month, right? Because then they'll have a discounted version of their first month, right? That kind of thing. Now, when it comes to their playlists and stuff, this is where I've started to run into some weird bugs that I'm hoping somebody from BPM Supreme sees this and goes and starts fixing a little bit. For some reason, somebody thought it was a good idea. They have two music catalogs. I'm in the open format one, and then they have a Latin version as well, which their Latin catalog, from what I hear, is actually really good. But my clientele, I'm getting very few requests that would require me to have the Latin catalog. So that's going to depend on you and your patrons. But for some reason, even though they are on the open format set lists and open format playlists and stuff, they will have a random Latin pop song in the middle of it. If I'm just going like, okay, I want to grab everything from this month's like top 40, click, 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 and I just click on that by mistake, it will say, oh, hey, this isn't part of the catalog you've paid for. Do you want to buy the new catalog? I hit cancel because, no, okay, oops. It'll boot me to the front page instead of just leaving me where I was. Really annoying. I don't know why it does that. Fix that. Because then I have this other weird glitch that's been happening where it keeps forgetting that this is the only computer I've ever downloaded music on from BPM Supreme. And it keeps thinking that I have multiple computers and it's this one. It's just this one. And so I've deleted multiple versions of this computer off of that site and re-verified this computer multiple times because it just keeps saying, no, this is a new computer. And then when I verify it, I have to delete one of the old ones. And if I don't do that every time that glitch happens, it just logs me out. Really annoying. So BPM Supreme, if you watch this, fix that, right? Just have it that things are blocked off, right? You can't even click on it if you don't have the catalog, right? It just says, hey, you need this thing, right? Instead of like to have text over top of the buttons, right? But yeah, those are the only two major issues that I've ran into. Everything else has been a really smooth experience downloading stuff, whether it be bulk downloading for some reason takes a lot longer per megabyte, but individual tracks almost instantaneous. Like I was actually really impressed. It loads the. I was downloading very, very quickly for just being on my home Wi-Fi. But yeah. It's a good service at a good price. Everything they're offering, it's great. There's an app. I was going to reach for my phone, but I'm using it currently. There's an app you can go and you can preview a bunch of songs and stuff and then add them to crates so that the next time you're on your computer, you can bulk download them on there. Really handy. You can preview tracks. Also very handy, especially for, remixes and things like that. So if they've got like 5 different versions of the same song, you don't have to download all 5 different versions and then end up having to memorize which one or put like a star next to the one that like, no, this is the one I should play. You can just only download the one that you want, right? Every now and then they'll have redrum versions, which are kind of cool. Like it's basically they just have more modern drums underneath rather than a big oomph, oomph kind of like full remix. It's really nice to just have, it's just an older song, but it's just a little more danceable because there's a cleaner sounding modern snare drum, right? That kind of stuff. So yeah, BPM Supreme, highly recommend them. Very, very cost-effective way to bulk up your music, especially because we've been running into some weirdness with streaming services as of late, right? Spotify is just completely pulled out a long while ago now, but Tidal has been a little wonky. I still have my Tidal subscription, and I'm still going to use that to fill in gaps of requested songs that I don't have, right? It's really saved my butt a few times, but I'm doing a lot of barn weddings where the Wi-Fi is very So I personally, I'm investing in bigger hard drives and just put in more copies of music on my computer. And record pools are a very, very cost-effective way of doing that. Like I said, if you are a new DJ, just get a month of BPM Supreme, download to your heart's content, and curate from there, right? Like, yeah, I'm at a point now where I have re-upped my library enough that I'm going to be a little more picky and choosy as to individual songs, but yeah. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. If you have made it this far, well, hopefully you've enjoyed the video then, so like and subscribe. If you have a record pool that you recommend, happy to check out more. I'm very happy with BPM Supreme, especially with the price that I got it for, but others might be interested in other more genre-specific record pools or ones they think fill a niche that this one doesn't. So feel free to recommend that below in the comments. If you have any questions on it, feel free. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.